Hey YouTube family, it's Sophia, Sophia's Wisdom. I want to talk to you guys today about dreaming, or I should say, passed away loved ones talking to you in dreams, or passed away people in general. It's been something that has gone on with myself. I know my mother, believe my grandmother, my great grandmother. My great grandmother passed away some years ago, but she was around long enough for me to talk to her and hear stories about passed away loved ones talking to her too. So the reason why I'm coming at you guys with this video is because I turned 33 a few days ago, and prior to it, I would say maybe about 3 days or so before, I had a dream about my dad, which passed away a year ago. It'll be almost 2 years soon. But he came to me, and he was on the phone. He was talking to someone on the phone, but he wasn't. I knew he wasn't verbally talking. His lips weren't moving, but he had the phone up to his ear. And then he saw me, and then I was looking down like at the ground, and there was a safe for me. Like it was his safe, and there was something in the safe for me. But it wasn't time for me to open it yet. And I think that's what he was like trying to tell me, like, you're gonna get it, but it's not time yet. So then I woke up, and of course I remembered the dream, and I was like, well, that was really awesome. I got to see my dad again, and we communicated, telepathically, of course. So it's like I didn't really think of it. Then I had a dream of my husband's mom, which passed away about, let's see, my daughter will be 16 soon, so she had to have passed away like maybe 14 and a half years ago, maybe. So she's in the dream, and usually she's not at the house. Like, I have dreams about my husband's house often. Most of the time the house doesn't look really the same that it does in real life, but it looks always the same that it does in the dream world, which happens to me a lot with a lot of different places. As far as being on the dreamscape, they look the same in the dream world, but not as they do in the real life, which, I don't know why I don't become lucid all the time, but I guess because I just answered that on, that thing that it always looks the same. So that's like me seeing something here, questioning it, like we don't typically do that during the day. That's why it's so good to have your dream things, asking yourself all the time every day, is this a dream or not, and stuff like that, because we tend to, when we go in the dream world, to just look at it as the normal day-to-day also. Because we spend, just as much time there, whether you remember it or not. But I digress. Anyways, his mother is there at the house, and I remember kind of like having some kind of dialogue with her, but I don't remember everything because there was something else going on with the dream too. It's kind of like hazy, like I was lucid, but I wasn't lucid, and I was like, wait a minute, she's normally not there, and she was looking at me and smiling. The past away people always look and smile, but so that was that dream I had a few days after that. Then I had a dream about my great grandmother, which is my mom's mom. And I see her, Nanny, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Nanny. And I always have dreams about her apartment too, but she's never in the apartment. Like, she's been gone for maybe about maybe 10 years. I could be off, give or take a few years, back or forth, whatever. But she's gone, and she's standing there, and she has a box in her hand, and she's kind of like holding the box. And she's looking at me, and she's smiling, and she looks a little healthier. She's thinner, but she looks healthy, and she's smiling at me, which I thought was like funny as heck, because I don't want to say she was like a mean person, but I mean, she was kind of mean. So just keep it real, my nanny was mean. So it was like, when I saw her smile, I was like, what the heck? She is actually smiling. Like, whoa, like for real, she's smiling. She never really smiled. Like, I hardly ever saw her smile. And before she passed away, I was at her house taking care of her, for some time. So when I say, like, I had plenty of opportunities to see this lady smile, like, no, you don't hardly ever see her smile, like, for never. For real. It's like, wow, it was shocking to me. It blew my mind that she was standing there smiling, and she was happy to be smiling, like I could literally feel the joy coming off of her. And then I looked to her, I want to say my right, her left, or whatever, her right. Yeah, whatever. My right. And there's two other ladies standing there, and they were also sitting there smiling. But I didn't really recognize these two ladies, but I knew they had an association to her, which was an association to me. So then that was about the end of the dream. I just really remembered that she was standing there with a box, and I don't know whether or not the box is for me or for something else, but it seemed like it was for me or being ready to be presented to me or something like that. But so a few days passed, and I was headed to Bible class with my mother and my grandmother, and I decided to share the dream with them as we were driving. And my grandmother, she said, "What? Was it Jessie?" Which is her daughter that had passed away some years ago. And I was like, "No, it wasn't Mama Jessie. That wasn't the other lady that was in the dream. I would have recognized her, though I did kind of feel the presence of her too." But I said it wasn't her, And so I said, "Was there anybody else that passed away before Nanny Grandma?" That was, two other ladies. That was. She said, "Oh, yeah, it was her sister and her sister's daughter." I was like, "What?" Them the other two ladies I was sitting next to her. I'm like, yeah, that would make perfect sense to me. Why she was standing there with those others. Because I was like, I know they having us up, like they're family. I knew that. I knew they was my family. I just didn't know how, what. So it was a trip when my grandmother was like, "Oh yeah, it was you. You saw my mom with her sister and her sister's daughter." I'm like, that was pretty cool. That's why they was standing there smiling at me like that. But I just wanted to say, some people be like, "Oh no, you can't talk to the passed away people, or something's wrong with you if you can." That's some BS. You definitely can. These are not the only passed away loved ones that have come to me after passing. I've had cousins come to me, another aunt come to me. So I had my dad's mom come to me in a different form. Matter of fact, oh yeah, I forgot to say about her too. She was also in one of my dreams prior to me having a dream about my dad also. So I guess I would say within this month's time now, I had dreams about a lot of passed away loved ones. So I'm trying to ask myself deep within also too, what does this mean? What do they really, what's going on? Why is that so? Because it's hard as heck when you're trying to talk to a loved one, as I often would think about my mother-in-law, and I would end up at the house, but she wouldn't be there. It's like, so let me digress for a second. Just speaking of that, so when I thought about, when I had to dream about my great grandmother, afterward, I went to the bathroom and I sat there, and I was asking myself, "Come on, dream, come back to me, Yahweh, bring the dream back to me." So I sat there and I thought, and the dream started coming back to me, and I could hear my great grandmother, and I was asking her. I was like, "Hey, it's funny that you're here now, because I come to this house all the time in my dreams, and you don't be here." And I could hear her say, and this was the funniest thing too, because I don't know if she really cuss like that in real life. That's something I gotta ask. I kind of think she did a little bit, because I know my grandma, her favorite word is shit. So everything is bullshit. It's the funniest thing ever. She don't like. I'm digressing again, but she doesn't like worms and snails and stuff like that. So, oh my gosh, you could imagine growing up in the Bay when we do have some rain and them things come out. She, whoa, shit, oh gosh, and then they broke her ankle many a times trying to get on a different part of the pavement to get away from a dang on worm or a snail. It's like, it's not gonna get you. It's so slow. But anyways, yeah, so I could hear my great grandmother say it after I said, "You don't ever be here." She says, "Why in the hell would I be here when I'm passed away, when I'm dead? And I was here the whole time when I was alive." And I thought that was hilarious. Like, ha ha ha. Like, she said it really sarcastically. It's